because when I read your story, I got very inspired because you were the first woman to set up an impact fund in South Korea. You're currently founder and managing partner at Envisioning Partners. It's an impact investing venture capital firm based in Seoul in Korea. And prior to Envisioning Partners, you led Yellow Dog as a CEO. You worked at a fund, you worked at Credit Suisse, you worked at McKinsey. You've been very busy. So I'm super happy that you're on the call today. Thank you for joining us. So
thank you for having me.
Very good. So you are, that first woman to launch this impact VC fund in South Korea. I'm so curious to hear more about this journey and about this milestone. Can you tell a bit more about how that came about?
First of all, thank you again for having me in this meaningful event, and I feel very honored to be a part of the session. And I'm Hyunju, and then, as Mike introduced, I am a managing partner of Envisioning Partners, an impact investing venture capital firm in Korea. As you briefly introduced, I started my career at McKinsey as a consultant and worked as an investment banker, and then joined Carlyle, the private equity firm. Until that point, it was kind of a bit of kind of a typical career for many investment professionals, consulting, banking, and the PE. And when I worked at a Carlyle, I really liked the job of investing. I learning about new companies and the industries, building the relationship with the management, trying to add value for the company you invest in. And all these activities were really exciting, and I loved my job. And in 2008, the financial crisis happened. I was working at Carlyle at that point. And when you work as an investment professional, you just focus on the daily work, all the transactions you do and the specific companies you invest in, but you do not have a chance to really take a step back and think about the big picture. And the financial crisis was really the moment that allowed me to think about the capital market and what I do in my everyday life, in my career, means to the world and to the society, and what the function of capital market is really for the entire society. And that planted really the question mark in my mind. And I actually, even after the financial crisis, I worked at Carlyle for 2 to 3 more years. And when I decided to leave the firm, I kind of started really exploring that questions. And while I worked as an independent professional, not belonging to a specific institution or organization, I really studied and wrote during that time. I translated about 10 books for publishing and wrote the books myself as an author. And the topics I explored very hard back then was really the mechanism of capital market and corporate governance, corporate structure, and things like that, and the meaning of working in our era. And at that time, I really met with the concept of impact investing, and that really inspired me. And for some reason, I felt like I'm really, I would be really good at that. So that kind of gave me courage, and that was really kind of the beginning of all this journey as an impact investor. And then I started to work at Yellow Dog, which was the former kind of the entity before Envisioning Partners, in 2017. And that was the point I became kind of one of very rare female leaders in the impact investing community, and also just the venture capital industry in general in Korea.
And I mean, if you speak about impact investing, but there's what I hear, there's a lot of misconception in the market about what is impact investing, what is not impact investing. What are some of the misunderstandings that you see, and what does impact investing mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, the things are getting better, but the misconception is still quite prevailing in the market, and I basically to have fight against the misconception every day. And the definition of impact investing, if you search in the Google, the definition is basically investing to pursue not just financial return, but also the environmental and societal impact. And that is really the vague and the broad concept, and that is really just the concept. And how you practice impact investing, especially at an institution managing the others' money in your everyday decision, I mean, can be really different depending on the target return you pursue and asset class sector you invest in.
And what are some of those differences that you see in that everyday decision making? Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so the most prevailing misconception is impact investing will sacrifice the return. And at Envisioning Partners, what we do is we practice impact investing in the venture capital as an asset class with a target return over the market rate. And to basically achieve that, what we try to do is the two things mainly. The one is taking the long-term view. In the long term, society and the market basically gets connected very closely. So the important societal issue now becomes a big market after a certain time. And as an impact investor, focusing on the connection between the market and society can catch that the timing of the conversion from the societal issue to the market emergence. I mean, you can be very good at catching that moment. And venture capital market, in a general sense, is a longer term investing than other asset classes in general. So I think the impact investing approach is really gives you a unique advantage in the capital market, in the venture capital asset class. So that using that long-term view is really the one big tool for us. And the second point is actually focusing on the collinearity, and meaning that we invest only in the companies where it's critical part of strategy, whether it's a business model or the product, are integrated into the impact creating mechanism. So there is no trade-off between the commercial growth and the impact creation. And if you invest in this collinearity, you don't have to worry about this balance or the trade-off between the two. And if you focus on the growth of the company, your impact grows in parallel. So we do not invest outside of the collinearity. So the concept of collinearity is basically the integration between the business model and the impact creation mechanism is really the most critical criteria for our investment decision.
And do you also see, in terms of impact investing, a difference in where impact investing is in Asia versus the rest of the world?
I think the impact itself is a concept that can vary depending on the era, time, and the location and the societal environment. I mean, once something that was impact at a certain time can be just a common kind of the principle embedded in the social structure. So, I mean, impact in Asia, especially impact in emerging market versus the advanced market, can be very different. So you have to be really sensitive to a lot of social dimensions in a specific country, in a specific society, I think.
Yeah, because what I often see here in terms of investments is it's not even earmarked as impact, but if you would look at it from a US perspective, for example, it definitely is an impact investment, right? And I feel that the terminology is used in a little different way. Is that also your experience?
Yes. And I mean, what I try to be cautious as an impact investor is, I mean, delivering the concept of impact investing. I do as a kind of thematic investment because of that kind of the difference. I mean, investing in the company creating decent job opportunities can be very impactful in emerging markets, but not probably in Korea or in many advanced markets. So if you kind of equate the impact investing with a certain thematic investings, I mean, that can be very misleading because of this difference in the social context, I think.
And I'm also curious what you think about the future of impact investing, and specifically, because the majority that's listening to this conversation is an asset allocator herself. And so what is, because as you said, it's long-term, and the investment that you're doing, VC is in general long-term, impact might even be longer term. And so how does that influence your fundraising strategies, your investment selections, managing LP expectations? What are the trends? What is the future that you see there?
I mean, what I communicate with my LPs and convinces them to invest in my funds, I do not try to focus on the kind of the ethical aspect of impact investing, more like the why it's a smart investing and why it can really work in the capital market from a longer term perspective. I mean, as I mentioned, I mean, impact investing can be a very smart strategy by catching that the transition point from the societal and the environmental agenda becoming a huge market opportunities. And that was really the advantage we as a firm enjoyed when we started investing practice back in 2017, 18. And also when we decided to more focus on the climate tech investment among all the other impact domains. So that's clearly the one way we communicate with our LPs. And also we, as an impact investor, we obviously care about all kinds of impact, but as an investing institution, we try to develop our strong domain expertise, and we only invest in the 4 impact domains, especially the climate sector with a strong focus. So we try to focus our discussion on these specific domains where we can see the huge market opportunities. And if they buy that at that level, it is much easier to continue our dialogues and drive the practical decisions we make every day, not at a really the conceptual level, whether impact investing is beneficial or things like that. And also the bringing the real life examples where the company create a lot of commercial and the impact value for the investors is always a kind of the good way to start communication and help them understand what we do as an investing institution.
So there's a lot of education that still needs to be done. I think another comment when during our preparation conversation, when you mentioned, I thought was very interesting, that your firm has a significant number of female founders in your portfolio, specifically in climate tech. It's not something I would immediately expect. But could you discuss a bit more about that, about these female founders that you see, what's different, but also maybe some of the unique hurdles that these founders are going through and how they are addressing them?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't specifically intend to kind of invest more in the female founded companies, but for some reason, just as a result, we have, I think, about 30% of our companies founded by women entrepreneurs. And I read that the statistics that if you have a female decision maker in your investment committee, you usually invest 3 times more than the market average, and that's exactly what's happening in my firm. I mean, as a woman entrepreneur, there are the kind of the common, the hurdles for them to overcome. But I don't want to overgeneralize, but that I think the hurdles mainly come from the two aspects. One is especially in Asian culture, the bias you have about yourself because of the social pressure or the cultural background or the social structure, things like that. And try to the being aggressive, being competitive. Those traits are not usually considered positive for women and in Asian culture, but you need that kind of grit to become a successful entrepreneur. So I think need to overcome that bias. That's kind of the general, not just for women entrepreneurs. I think for many female professionals working in Asian culture. And the second aspect is, I think, when you work in an industry or the market where male are dominant, relationship and network are something making your life difficult. So, and especially in the startup ecosystem and venture capital industry, there is a serious higher level of information asymmetry. This type of like a broader network plays a big part in getting the information and getting the right connection. And as a woman entrepreneur, and as a woman investor, and as a woman money manager, that is clearly something you need to overcome.
And maybe that is also a good thing too, because as you said, specifically cultural and social, it's even a little different in Asia compared to anywhere else. And but you still did it, right? You started that impact fund, like I'm gonna do this no matter what. Can you share some of your personal strategies or inspirations that helped you through and helped you to stay focused and actually do this?
That's actually the quite difficult question to answer, because as an individual, you do not really work as an working female. You don't think about gender in your everyday life. You just work as a professional and as an individual. And when I became the CEO of a venture capital firm, people started to call me as one of the female leaders in the VC ecosystem. And that was quite strange and surprising to me, because I didn't really have a sense of female leader till that point. But I took a sense of responsibility and tried to work in line with that title. But when I do my work in it, and I try not to overinterpret the surrounding challenges I face. I just try to get my head down and get the work done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at a strategy level, especially to raise a fund and to become a leader of a institution, what I took as a strategy is really I try to become a message myself, so that people can think of me when they kind of encounter a certain keyword or a certain type of problem. I mean, that the symbolic position you take helps you expand your network and help people find me and come over to me and be curious about me. So that was kind of actually the advantage I could enjoy as an impact, as one of the very rare female venture capitalists, and also one of the rare impact investor when I started Yellow Dog.
And do you maybe have some tip, or like what strategies do you feel can female asset allocators implement to better navigate and succeed specifically in Asia Pacific in the whole financial ecosystem?
I'm not so sure whether I can say it is a strategy, but I think we really need to help each other, because I mean, we have so little women in this market, and whether you like it or not, every woman has a kind of the representation in their own position. So if there's one woman's failure, people search for the reasons that the older woman might fail. So one woman's success can become everyone's success, and that really help everybody. So I think we really need to help each other and extend our own network and be more active and aggressive in our in that aspect. So that is something I try to do in my position, and I think that can be in the long run a quite smart strategy for women as a whole.
Yeah, and to really come together, which of course aligns beautifully with the whole concept of the Changemakers series, where we want to come together with a group of female leaders to solve challenges, but not only solve challenges, also look forward and in the moonshot thinking and the what if. So if I would put that question towards you, Yeonju, how would you answer that? Like, what is your moonshot idea, right? What would be your what if question that you would have as a challenge?
You know what? My answer might be very disappointing, but I mean, when I get that question, I thought about it for less like a couple of days, but I couldn't actually come up with any one moonshot idea, because there are so many. I mean, am a person who do not believe one magic solution and one kind of big bang shot we can make. So I mean, there are so many problems we need to solve. There's so many struggles, not as a woman, it's just as a society and as an impact investor. I mean, I try not to be discouraged by just amount of the problems we face. And this is a long-term game. So every day, try to be a little bit more patient, little bit more persistent, more brave. And all of these things, I think, add up. And I strongly believe everything counts. So, I mean, I feel bad I couldn't come up with a very sexy answer as a moonshot idea, but I mean that's just who I am, and the kind of the game I play, I think.
But basically, if I hear you, what I hear you say is, what if we stop talking about the challenges? What if we stop talking about the things that do not work? What if we just, move forward and do it all together, right? I that's what I hear through in our whole conversation, actually. And I think because that's a big mindset shift, right? For people to happen, because unfortunately I see that happening a lot. Focus on the challenges, but let's just stop talking about these challenges. Let's move forward and actually just do something together with that network. I hear that through as your moonshot idea, actually. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think absolutely right. And yes, I mean, of course, as a kind of a citizen and as one of the rare female leaders in this market, I try to be responsible and do my part when there is a fight I have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
But when I come back to my work as an individual, I try not to think about that too much, because life is unfair in some fashion to everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much for all your insights, Yonju. This is really great. I want to turn over to the rest of the people here in this conversation.